everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Kazuhiko Futagawa. And I was born and raised in Hiroshima and have lived in Hiroshima for 79 years. Today, I'd like to share my family's experience during the atomic bombing and our lives afterward. My father and elder sister were killed in the atomic bombing on Nagasaki 1945. No one could enter the city center on the day of the bombing, so my mother waited until the next day. On that day, the city was a sea of fire. My mother started searching for them near the Ground Zero and the whole city on the following day 7. At that time, I was an unborn baby in my mother's womb, a 2-month-old fetus. This means that I was exposed to radiation from the atomic bombing while in mother's womb. Then I was born April 1st, 1946, 8 months after the bombing. I'm one of the youngest 7 survivors, or Hibakusha. Hibakusha means Japanese. In my case, we are known as In-Utero Hibakusha. And there are about 6,500 still alive of this year from Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Some In-Utero Hibakusha were born with microcephaly, which is often occupied by severe mental disability and physical disabilities. Their intellectual age is at the level of lower elementary school students. They are also our friends. However, my mother never told me about the bombing. My father and elder sister hardship experience while she was alive. So I didn't know anything about those days as a grown up. But therefore, my testimony is based on what I heard from my aunt and cousin and other relatives. In those days, our house about 3.8 kilometers away from the hypocenter of Ground Zero to the east of Hiroshima Station. When the bomb was dropped, the blast severely damaged the house. The doors were blown away, glasses shattered, and so on. But house wasn't burned. My mother, who was 32, my 4-year-old brother, and 1-year-old sister happened to be inside the neighbor's straw house next door. So they were safe. This photo shows our house was restored to its original shape about 50 years later. It's old Japanese typical house. It's made from wood, paper, and bamboo. Now, I'm going to tell you about my father. Before the bombing, my father worked as a postmaster at the post office. His post office is located in front of what is now the Ground Zero, near the center of the Peace Memorial Park. It's only about 300 meters, 980 feet from the Ground Zero. Now, Peace Park area was before the bombing. Until the bombing, until the bomb was dropped, this part of the city was a busy downtown of Hiroshima. There were lots of buildings here in inn, theater, and restaurant, and the people living here enjoying happy and peaceful existence. It's estimated that there were around 6,500 residents in this neighborhood. And red mark is Avon Dome, a yellow mark is my father's post office was there. On the morning of August 6, my father went to the post office by train and tram as usual. He must be working when the bomb dropped. The bomb was dropped at 8:15 in the morning. He must be killed instantly by shockwave and heat rays. He was 47 years old. It's said that whole city was completely destroyed in a split second. The bomb exploded 600 meters, approximately 2,000 feet above the post office. The temperature at the ground level in this area reached 3,000 to 4,000 degrees Celsius or 5,400 to 7,000 degrees Fahrenheit. I think you know that its temperature still melt is nearly 1,500 Celsius and approximately 2,700 Fahrenheit. The heat generated here on that day must have been beyond anything we could ever imagine. This is the first nuclear weapon ever used on humankind. Now, let me tell you about my elder sister. She was also killed in the atomic bombing on that day. At that time, she was only 13 years old, her first student junior high school. In those days, toward the Pacific War, almost all adult men grew up to fight. So, all the students were forced to work to make up for the wartime labor shortage. Boys and girls aged between 12 and 17 were required to work. 12 and 13 years old undertook building demolition and farm work. Building demolition means destroying a building in certain area to create fire breaks, minimize damage for air raid. Over 200 cities and towns in Japan were destroyed by indiscriminate air raid toward the end of the war. This photo shows around one area in Tokyo, March 10, 1945, 100,000 people killed. On August 6, 1945, at 8 in the morning, 8,400 students were working and building demolition in the city center of Hiroshima. My sister was working about 800 meters, 2,000 feet south of the hypocenter ground zero. More than 6,300 of the students were killed or remained missing by a bombing. She must have been one of them. The 14 through the 70 years old were forced to work in munitions factories. At that time, there were 3 munitions factories in Hiroshima: military uniform equipment depot, small arms weaponry, and provision for the canned food depot. Hiroshima was a military city, Western Japan Military District headquarters. Let me tell you about my mother. The day after bombing, on the day 7, my mother rushed to the area near the ground zero, where my father, the post office, and my sister's workplace were. She desperately searched for them along riverside, wandering through the city every single day. And then, eventually, she went to Ninoshima Island. Ninoshima, the small island. Ninoshima Island, where temporary army shelter and quarantine station existed. The island is located about 10 kilometers, 2.20 miles from the ground zero. About 10,000 airborne victims were carried there, but there were no medical supplies, treatment, and most of them died in a few days. My mother searched for my father and sister until the end of August. She walked through the city of death. However, she couldn't find them or any clues. As a result, my mother was exposed to the residual radiation from the atomic bomb. She was 32 years old at that time. This picture around near my parents' house. In those days, there are many Hibakusha evacuated around my house. After the war, my mother started working at my aunt's post office in eastern part of the city. She really worked hard every day as a single parent to raise 5 children, more than 35 years. When I was a little child, one day my aunt told us that my mother got sick and was admitted to the hospital. She was seriously ill with pleurisy. It's like pneumonia. She was in critical condition, harbored life and death, and for the few days, the doctor told my aunt my mother wouldn't survive. She was dying. The doctor said that there was nothing else he could do. In those days, modern medical treatment weren't available. And according to my aunt, my mother called out the name of her 5 surviving children as she lay in bed with high fever. Delirious words: Tadayoshi, Hisashi, and Reiko, Aiko, And me, Kazuhiko. I can't die yet. I can't leave my children behind. I can't die yet. I can't. I want to die. A few days later, miraculously, she got well and recovered. After that, my mother always walked through quickly as if she were trying to forget they born and her missing husband and daughter. She worked hard and raised 5 children all by herself in the city where everything was burnt down by the bomb. But I don't know how she did all. She never complained about anything. And she was always cheerful. My mother never said anything about hardship experience while she was alive. If she stopped, despair would overtake her. If she stopped, anxiety and despair would overtake her. And my mother passed away peacefully in 2000 at the age of 87. By the way, this is the Avon Survivor Health Book. People with the Avon Survivor Health Book can receive free medical treatment, including radiation examinations. The book certifies that you are Avon survivor, but my mother never applied for health book for her children because she didn't want us to be labeled as Hibakusha and Avon survivors. So I get one when I was 47 years old. Here's something I'd like to show you. Only 11 years ago, my oldest sister found an old small blouse wrapped in a sheet of white paper at the back of the chest of drawers. The chest of drawers is my mother's possession. It was my elder sister's old spare school uniform. I was shocked when I saw it. My elder sister must have been wearing an identical blouse when the bomb was dropped. It was the only thing left that belonged to my elder sister. My mother must have looked at it carefully because she didn't want my sister's ashes. When I saw blouse, I felt pain and regret, sadness, and tears overflowed. Why did my mother despise all these years? I wondered why she never said a word about it in all her life. Afterward, finally I recognized the deep sorrow my mother had kept hidden in her heart. She probably didn't remember the horrible devastation of the atomic bomb, the living hell. I donated this blouse to Peace Memorial Museum to honor my sister and my mother. 8 years have passed since the atomic bombing, and many survivors are still suffering from illness caused by the airborne radiation. Many survivors hid their identity as Hibakusha due to various forms of discrimination, prejudice, and difficulty finding job and getting married. The number of able survivors alive is about 99,000 of this year. The average age is about 86 years old. And radiation affects the genes. It will continue for decades more than that. The research is still ongoing. So I would like the following words. Humans repeat the same thing if they don't learn from the past. We mustn't let the clueless lesson they born and war fade the passage of time. And then British writer H.G. Wells said, if we don't end war will end us. First, I would like you to picture things as if it had been you and your family who had experienced the events of the war and the effects of the atomic bomb. My humble thing is that there are many wars going on in the world today. There are always two sides of any war. One side is the aggressor, and one side is inevitably the victims. There are two sides of the same coin. When war breaks out, we continue to fight with fire. What is the meaning of justice? What does it mean to protect the people? I think important things are wisdom, which is including have knowledge and learning, and engaging the dialogue based on love and caring. I hope and this dialogue like this helps build peace in the future. Why I am grateful for opportunity for you gave me today to share my story. That's all. Thank you for coming and listening to my story. Thank you. ありがとうございました。